Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I have 3 more journals that are part of my spring collection. I made 3 bunny journals. This time I have 3 duck themed journals. If you want to see my bunny journals, I will link the video down below. It was my last video. I did a flip through. I also made a Peter Rabbit journal out of a little golden book. So if you want to see how I did that, I made a 3-part series, and that will be linked down below as well. These are in my Etsy shop as of now, but I'm going to flip through each one of them so you can see what I did. They are similar, and in my journals I do kind of similar things throughout them. So they have different papers and different book pages, but I do similar techniques and things. That's what I'm trying to say here. For each of these journals, they will come with a super cute little duck shaker, little shaker card. So I have those. The bunny journals each get a little bunny shaker, but these come with these cute little duck ones. So that's a little bonus. All right, so I have this one that's called Amos Learns to Talk. This is a elf book, and these are the size of a little golden book. So I have Amos Learns to Talk and Chatter Duck. That's a little Randy McNally elf book as well. And then I have the Fuzzy Duckling little golden book. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'll go with this one first. Amos Learns to Talk. As with all my journals, I use all of the pages that come in the book as well as the book cover. For these, I added buttons. And I actually did a tutorial on this that is going to come out after this video. So following this video, like the next day or so after, I will show you how I added this in. It's actually pretty simple, but they all have the buttons. They have a fun tassel with lots of different trims and ribbons and things there. I used a vintage chunky yarn in this one, this really fun pom-pom yarn, and then some ribbons and the sparkly yarn here. These have 3 signatures in them. For this one, I used a yellow rickrack and a yellow ribbon, and then I used this gingham fabric and some vintage floral fabric, and then I added in some of the Peter Rabbit fabric that I had picked up from Amazon, a little 5x5 quilting bundle, and this one has the mother duck. I can't remember her name, but there's her, well, their little ducklings are in there and everything, so super cute. Each journal has 3 altered paper clips. They have attached ties, and then they each have a cute little rubber ducky attached with a bulb, a light bulb safety pin on the ribbon. So super cute. Let's open this up. For these Randy McNally little elf, or just regular elf books, the covers have images that go from the first page. Like for the actual book, this would have been the opening page, and it would have followed over onto the inside of the cover. So I didn't want to cover too much of this up. I did cover this part up here because there was a scribble mark in there that I couldn't get out. I think it was crayon or something. So I just added a piece of the fabric there. And then I wanted there to be a pocket, so I just covered this little corner up, and I just pulled that off. So I'll need to put a little bit of glue down there. But I used a combination of scrapbook paper that I had in my stash, and then I had found a printable digital paper on Etsy, and I will put the link for that down below. It's just a really cute little duck paper collection. So anyway, there's that there. I also purchased a digital vintage duck digital images off of Etsy too. So I'll try and link everything down below, but there are a lot of actual vintage items in here. All right, so here's the flashcard. I made a little tuck spot here. Here's one of the book pages, really cute. This is the opening page, so it's blank on this side, so I just decorated with some washi tape. Here's some white or yellow lined paper. I had a little duck metal die, so I did a little die cut there. This is from another vintage book. And then here's the first page of the actual book, Amos Learns to Talk. Really cute. Here's a vintage Easter card, really a real one. And then here is another book page from another vintage duck book. Just kind of folds out. I did some watercoloring on some copy paper, and then I also did stamping throughout. I did lots of stitching. Here is a ledger page. I did a ruffle of the fabric on the side there. Here's some composition paper. I just added some washi tape. This is another vintage duck book page. And then I stamped a little ducky there. That's really cute. I had some vintage duck playing cards, so that's one of them. And then I think there's another one in here, or a couple anyway. And then just some tickets. This book has a lot of the pinks, blues, and yellows in it. Here's the other side of that card. And there's that printable digital paper there. I can only print on 8.5 by 11, so in order to make this 6 inches, I added some scrapbook paper onto the side, so I just stitched that on. And I did it on both sides there. And then I printed some really cute little duck coloring book images onto some lined paper. I stuck that in on the belly band. Did another ruffle of fabric there. And then here I made the pages so that it tucks in the side, and then I put a bingo card in there. This, I stitched 2 papers together. This is another vintage book page. Here is the other side of the lunch sack, so I glued the 2 ends, and so this can just tuck in little ephemera or whatever there. Here is a vintage, I think this is some sort of, I can't remember if that was like a magazine, but it's like how to draw a duck, so I thought that was really cute. Here's some vintage grid paper. I sewed a doily on this side here to make a little tuck spot. So this is a super cute book. I really love it. Here's the other duck playing card, and then some Monopoly money. Stitch some rickrack there. I used some Project Life cards in here too. I like to include those in. So I sewed an envelope. I had a yellow envelope. I sewed it just on the flap so that this can be a little tuck spot. I stamped the little duck there. And then this flips out so that you can stick things in there. And then I made a little tuck there with this image there. This is another lunch sack. So that is just a little tag in there. I sewed a scrap piece of fabric on that page. And then here's the other side, this little tuck spot. Here's a vintage duck. See which one is this? I'm not sure what the collection of these cards are, but they're the vintage nature cards with animals, and then it has all the information on the back. And then the last signature here, starting out, is a things to do little card there. I made a belly band, sewed some lace on the side. And on this side is just a pocket. So I just have a check, a vintage check, guest check, and a project life card. I had a vintage Donald Duck comic book, so I included a page of that in here. This is some fun felt flower trim that I sewed onto the page. Here is a vintage coloring book page that I had, and it was already colored, so it looks really cute. And then I sewed the other side of that coloring book page were not ducks, so I decided to sew it onto this vintage book page that also did not have ducks on the other side. So just sewed those two together, and then I attached it to this other book page from a different book. So there's lots of spaces for adding pictures and doing journaling, whatever it is that you like to do in your junk journals. It's the other side of the Donald Duck comic book page. Up here I have some vintage tickets and a little price tag ticket. And there is a third duck playing card there. Over in here is just a vintage telegraph ticket and little note page with a duck on there. And then the last page is a belly band, and then over here is an altered tag. This was the actual back cover of the book. I love that. So I just made a little pocket so it wasn't covering up too much of that page, so that things can be stored back here. So that is it, and there's the back. So cute. All right, moving on to the next one. It is the Chatter Duck, and this is also an elf book, Randy McNally elf book. And it looks like this. Similar buttons there. And the back has the same fabrics and the rickrack. This one has this polka dot ribbon. And this one, I just love this one. The colors and everything's so cute. And it has the duck charm on the front. I didn't want to cover this image up at all, so I didn't put a pocket here. But I suppose if you wanted to have something, you could put like a pocket up here that you could either stick things in the side or just slip underneath or whatever. So that's that. And there's a pocket over here where I have an altered tag and a vintage duck card. I sewed some pom-pom trim on the side there. And then on this side, I used an image from a book and just made a little tuck, and there's a bingo card in there. Here's the first page. There was a writing right here, so that's why that paper is covering that up. And I made a little tuck with the lunch sack there. Put some a Monopoly card, community chest card there. Isn't that just adorable? I just love the images in this book. I think this one is my favorite. There's another duck book page from a different book. This one, I only had one of these cards, but it is a trivia card game with I think it was the farm animals, so there's a duck, and then it has questions about ducks on the other side. Just some tickets and Monopoly there. I had fun with watercoloring on these yellow pages as well, so I put some washi at the bottom. On this one I just glued a vintage duck image at the bottom, and then I stamped over here. On this side I stitched some of the fabric in a ruffle, and then I stamped the duck image there. I'll put the links. I found these duck acrylic stamps from Amazon, so I'll link those down below. I'll try to remind me if I don't. Okay, so this was from a vintage music book, Little White Duck. And then here's a little tuck with the lunch sack. On this page, I added a little receipt. I made a pocket with the Project Life card. Over here is a belly band, and I just stamped onto a little note card there. And then this was similar to the other book where I made it a little side pocket going all the way up, and I stitched my fabrics or my papers together there. Over here I sewed a doily onto the side to make a little tuck. Those duck stamps are just the cutest, and they actually stamp really nice. That's not a stamp though, that's an actual print that I did. Here's another duck card and a price tag. And then here is another vintage book page with the little ducks. Super cute. Super cute book. Yes, you can count how many times I say super cute in my videos. I'm sorry if that annoys you. Here's a little pocket that I made with the lunch sack on the other side, and put a little Project Life card in there. So cute, love it. It's amazing, these older books and their illustrations. I think the colors are so vibrant. So it's just a little sticky note paper. And then here's another altered tag. Project Life and Monopoly Money in that pocket. Here, I only had one of these as well. This is a vintage felt board piece. I had a whole set of farm themed felt board pieces, and it actually has like that velvety stuff on the back. So that's in there with some tickets, and then a little die cut down at the bottom. Here is the Donald Duck comic book page. Oh, they're so cute. They're little teary eyes. And then here's another altered tag. And then the last page here with the belly band, and then this is the back of the book on the cover. So that's the actual part of the book. And there's the back, similar to the other one. And then the last one is the Fuzzy Duckling Little Golden Book. I used the same fabrics. This one does not have the ribbon right there, but there's the buttons and the tassel, and then the back. This has the polka dot ribbon on the side, and then it also has the little duck charm. I added this flower down here because it had the UPC code, so I kind of wanted to just cover that up. All right, over here, this is similar papers. So I made a pocket with a flashcard and a Project Life card there. And then over here's a little pocket with a altered tag. And then this has a little image from a book page as well that I made into a pocket. And then here is a nature duck card. And then here's the first page of the book. This book is from 1977. The other ones I believe are from the 1950s or 60s, I'm not sure. This was a really cute vintage book page. I sewed it to another book page because the other side didn't have ducks on it, so that's what I did there. So lots of similar things throughout just the different book pages. So I'll just kind of flip this through this one real quickly. Here's the lunch sack. This is a really adorable book as well. Fuzzy Duckling. Really cute. This is one of the stamps, and I added "You Quack Me Up" in the little butterfly. So it comes with, I'll try and put up a picture of what the whole set looks like, and then a link for it down below. Leave a comment down below which one of these is your favorite. I'd love to know. And then also, what are you working on? Are you working on spring journals right now, or have you moved on to summer theme, or what is it? This is a book page that I made into a pocket. And then here is another Donald comic book page, Donald Duck. This is another little book page section that I made into a pocket, and this is like a cut up like ephemera that came in a scrapbook set or something, I'm not sure. I'll take it. Another duck. Is that upside down? I guess that was upside down. This is so cute with all the little ducklings. That's a beautiful page. All right, this is the third signature here with the belly band to start off. Here's some little note paper and a ticket. Stamped that page there. I really didn't do anything special with this paper. I just laid out some copy paper and then took my watercolors and a big brush and just went to town painting the paper. I kept it kind of watery so that it would, you know, have like a graduated look to it. This is some really cool fabric that I had bought. It was already in strips, and it was just this embroidered eyelet edge. So I just sewed it along the top and bottom and the side to make it a little tuck. This is just a book page. And this is the last 2 pages. This was some vintage wrapping paper. I didn't have much of this left over. The last time I did spring journals, I used most of it, so I just had scraps. So I just put that page in there. And then the inside cover on the back, I altered this tag for that. And then there is the back. So that is it, guys. Remember, these 3 come with the little duck shakers. Really cute, just as a little bonus. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and follow my links over to my Etsy shop if you're interested in these. Also, follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Creative Crafticality if you want to see sneak peeks. And then, yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.